Motivation goes both ways, guys. You don't have to be in the best shape to motivate somebody to push their limits. Case in point, I went out for my jog this morning, and the reason why I'm talking about this is because sprinting is going to be a big topic of today's conversation. But I went out for my jog, I was just starting to get warmed up, and I saw a guy running towards me, probably like 20, maybe 30 pounds, a bit overweight, still out there pushing himself. He looks up and he sees me, and I could tell he instantly picked up his pace by the time we passed each other. And of course we waved. I always wave when I pass people when I jog. We gave each other like a nod, and then he was smoking, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to pick up the pace now, and I'm going to push my limits. And the jog that I do is usually like 3 miles, because that gives me enough time to get at least 4 to 5 solid sprints in throughout that time. Because I'm not just jogging the entire time. Sometimes I'm walking, especially after a sprint, to catch my breath, because the main focus is the sprinting. Now, I had just gotten back to the road that leads to my community, and it's like uphill, and it takes me probably like 30 to 45 seconds to run as fast as I can up this slope to get back to my community, and I was not having it. It was hot, I was tired, I already did like 4 sprints up until this point, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to phone it in, and I'm just going to walk up this hill. I look to the left, and I see homeboy running as fast as he can, sprinting down the street, and he stops, he's across the street from me. I yelled to him, and I was like, yeah, get those gains. And he looks at me, gives me a thumbs up and a huge smile, and that was it. I'm like, I have to do this sprint now. And I sprinted my ass all the way home, and it felt great. So motivation goes both ways. And as far as I'm concerned, anybody in the gym, no matter what shape they're in, if you made it through the door, that's an inspiration. That inspires me. And that's why I love going to the gym and making these videos and helping people, because I want to teach fitness to the world. And in doing that, a lot of the times there's myths that I have to dispel. One of them being, by the time you hit 30, you're going to lose all your gains. Oh, wait until you're my age and you hit 40, your life is over. Say goodbye to your six-pack. Shit like this I've heard since I was 16 years old in the gym. And back then, arrogant young Scott was just like, no way, I'm always going to be in the best shape. I'm going to push my limits, blah, 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 right? Didn't really have any rhyme or reason or the knowledge or experience, right? Because I'm only 16, but I just knew in my head that I wasn't going to lose my gains by the time I was 30. And we hear that a lot. It's like all of a sudden you hit 30 and the testosterone factory in your ball sack and all the workers are like, shut it down. This guy's 30 years old. He needs to lose his gains. He has to lose his hair. Like, shut it down. That doesn't happen. There's a lot of other things that happen in your life, and that's the reason why things slow down at 30 and into your 40s. But it's not because there's some kind of biological clock that goes off that basically turns everything off. And for those of you who don't know, I'm going to be 40 this year. I'm going to be turning 40 in October. And I've been posting a lot on the community page on YouTube, as well as my Instagram and my Twitter, that I want to be the leanest I've ever been by the time I hit 40. And I'm really pushing hard, guys. It might not seem like it, but in my earlier videos, I was only like 165 pounds. A lot of people think that I was bigger in my earlier videos because of how I looked. I was just incredibly lean. And also a little industry secret, if I was doing a chest video or an arm video, I was literally doing like a 30 to 45 minute workout before filming those videos to look extra pumped and veiny and full of blood. And then after a while, I stopped doing it because it was becoming a pain in the ass. But obviously, there's things that you can do to look better on camera. One of those things is getting a pump. This time last year, I was about 200 pounds. Right now, I'm about 181, and the goal is to get down to about 175 to 180. But why sprinting? Why am I putting so much emphasis into sprinting? Of course, your meal plan matters, what you're eating, right? Of course, your workout plan matters. You have to be pushing your limits in the gym. For those of you wondering, I'm doing my old school 5-day split program that I always go back to when I want to get into the best shape. But when I really think about when I was in the best shape, right, because I'm trying to surpass that, there was one thing that I was doing that I stopped doing when I hit my 30s and then up until really like maybe a year or two ago, and that was doing sprints. And sprints isn't just going and running outside as fast as you can. If you're playing basketball, you're doing sprints while you're playing the game. If you're playing soccer, you're sprinting, right? Trying to get to the ball. Shit, if you're playing baseball and you hit the ball and you sprint to first base, you're doing a sprint. It's an all-out exertion of your body. It's one of the few exercises that allows you to do this. And I've posted videos in the past talking about how it's been proven that sprinting raises natural HGH levels by 770%. Guys, you do not have to go on TRT. You do not have to jump on drugs to look the best shape ever. You just need to take advantage of things like this, going out and doing sprints. But some people don't want to because it's hard. Of course, sprints are hard. But when I say do a sprint, I'm saying push yourself to your limit. Like that guy that I saw this morning. He sure as hell wasn't running as fast as I do when I sprint, but I could tell that he was pushing his limit when he was hauling ass down the road. Like he was pumping his arms, he was pumping his legs. That dude was doing a sprint. Shit, maybe he watches my videos. I don't know. If you do, comment down below and be like, yeah, that was me. When I was in my teens, when I was in my 20s even, I was always playing sports in high school. Even in college, I didn't play college sports, but I was still playing like indoor soccer. I was still playing basketball with the boys every weekend. We would play kickball. And most importantly, when I really look back and realize where I lived kind of off of a main road. And I would go for like 5 or 6 mile runs 3 nights a week. Running helps me clear my mind. But on this road that I would run down, it was a main street and there were stoplights every quarter mile. And what I would do for fun, because running is boring, is I would kind of like approach a light, and if it was starting to turn red, I would slow down, and then I would kind of like jog in place, and I would find like the perfect song that gets me pumped up. And then as soon as that light would turn green, I would sprint as fast as I could to the next light, trying to beat the cars, that were also taking off at the light at the same time. And without realizing it, I was doing hardcore sprints 3 nights a week, getting in at least 3, 4, maybe sometimes 5 of those sprints each time I went for the run. And I was still eating the same and working out the same. Then when me and my wife bought our first house together, when I was like 26 or 27, we still lived in the same area, but I was no longer running on that main road because we were far removed from it. I was still going for my runs, but I wasn't getting these sprints in. I guess this was before I did my research on why sprints are so beneficial. And I noticed I wasn't really as lean as I used to be. I didn't feel the same as I used to be. I was still pushing my limits. I guess sometimes I would do like sprints on the treadmill at the gym, but I wasn't doing it as consistently. And also, when you get into like your late 20s and early 30s, what tends to happen, I was talking to my wife about this yesterday. You guys remember the end of The Sandlot when like the kids start disappearing as they're getting older, and then all of a sudden they're like, it's just Benny left playing on the baseball field? That's kind of what it was like for me and my friends. Like, there was so many of us. We would play football, basketball, kickball, and like every year it was just like less and less and less people would show up, and then it got to the point to where we couldn't do those things anymore. And so all that sprinting was out of the equation because there was no one playing sports anymore. I didn't have time to go do like indoor soccer or anything like that because I was building my business and my family, right? I'm still working out, obviously, but I just wasn't maintaining that level of leanness. And with that being said, like that's the biological clock that goes off, and why most people start to lose their gains into their 30s. It's because you have to find a job, you get a family. You're not 18 years old anymore, okay? You're not living at home. You have more bills to pay. You can't be at the gym for 3 hours. Maybe you had kids. Maybe you're chasing like a really ambitious career. The gym kind of takes a sideline. And what ends up happening is if you're not training as hard and you're not playing sports, there's no reason for your body to keep up with all this production or to maintain muscle mass. And that's why you start to lose your gains when you get into your 30s and 40s, right? It's because you have slowed down. It's not because your body has slowed down. You have physically slowed down. And that's what catches up to you. It's not a biological clock thing. Anyways, so now that I'm going to be 40 this year in October, my goal is to get into the best shape of my life that I've ever been into before. And if you're watching this video and you're starting to realize that your gains have slowed down or you're not as lean as you used to be, and you think that the only solution is TRT or drugs or things like that, take a hard look at your history as an athlete and see if it matches up with mine, right? I'm not saying you have to go out and do an hour of cardio. I'm saying you have to go out, try to get in 3 to 5 hardcore sprints few days a week and see how that affects your body, right? You will have to clean up your diet, clearly. You will have to push yourself hard in the gym. But this could be the missing piece that's holding you back and you don't even know it. So it's a really interesting video topic to talk about. And I feel more comfortable talking about this subject in this way now because I've lived it. When I was 18 and people told me I was going to lose everything when I was in my 30s and 40s, I really didn't have a bucket to shit in, right? Because I was 18 years old. But now I have that experience. And I'll tell you what's funny to me too, when I first started, YouTube and posting on social media, everyone was always like, wow, you look great, you're ripped, you're shredded, blah, 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 blah. And then maybe like after 6 or 7 years, then people started saying things like, oh, you're small, you look the same, you haven't changed, everybody else is so much bigger than you, and blah, 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 blah. It's like a pendulum, right? Everybody loves you, everybody hates you. And then now that I'm turning 40 and I am in good shape, I've been taking care of myself, I'd stayed natural. Now all the comments have gone from, you haven't grown, to, wow, you still look great, you're shredded, you look young, you look better than a lot of the other guys that came up the same time as you. I guess the moral of the story is, if you're doing fitness, you're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for the comments. And it's okay to not always be gaining muscle. Be happy with yourself. Look in the mirror and be happy with yourself, because no matter what you do, there's always going to be somebody bigger than you, stronger than you, and more shredded than you. But as long as you're happy with yourself and your progress, who cares? Because that's all that matters. And one last thing before you guys go, if you haven't heard or haven't seen me post yet, I recently became an ambassador with EHP Labs. I absolutely love this brand, guys. It's for a few different reasons. Number one, whenever I'm leaning out, I keep the carbs moderate. I don't like to say low because I don't do low carb diets. I keep it between like 150 and 180, but I do keep the protein very high. I do at least a 1-to-1 ratio of grams of protein to lean body weight, and the Oxy Whey is perfect for me. I always try to fill up on food first. Remember, supplements are supposed to supplement your diet. But 1 scoop of Oxy Whey is 25 grams of protein and only 3 grams of carbohydrates. So you can still make sure you're getting plenty of nutrients from your regular food. And if you happen to miss your mark on protein, 1 or 2 scoops of the Oxy Whey is the way to go. And of course, my code Herman will give you 10% off your entire order when you go to their site, which comes in handy if you're addicted to energy drinks like me, because I crush these Oxy Shreds all day long. For those of you who know, I'm always on the computer. I'm building my own mobile gaming title. I'm a huge gaming nerd. I'm just always sitting in this desk. Hence why I've been getting my ass out there and doing more running and sprinting. But this stuff just tastes absolutely amazing. There's a few different flavors. They recently teamed up with Ghostbusters, which I thought was super cool. So they have the Slimer RTD Oxy Shred, and they have some other flavors. This one's really cool too. It's called Frost Big Apple. So check it out. Use my code Herman10. But as always, guys, more good stuff coming soon. Thanks for hanging out and listening. We'll see you guys in the next video.